Hello. Hello to all of our listeners. This is Andre. Welcome to Scary Talk. Shannon will not be joining us today, so I will be doing this episode solo. You'll get to enjoy my angelic voice. Today, I have a good one. We are going to be talking about the Dybbuk box. Dybbuk box. I hope I'm saying that right. If you guys have not heard about this box, this alleged haunted box, demonic box, is actually the inspiration for the 2012 movie The Possession. Turns out the box is real. It's a real thing. The way this story starts is with an item that was originally put up for sale on eBay by a man named Kevin Manis back in September of 2001. This item was eventually sold to a couple more people, so it passed hands a lot, given its nature, actually, precisely because of its nature, because it was so demonic and dangerous to have. That's why it passed around so much. So, to really get into the nitty gritty, this man, his name is Kevin Manis. He bought this box. Kevin Venice is an antique store owner, so that should be noted. He was, when he was at garage sales, he would look for, well, interesting antique items to probably resell at his shop. So one day, Kevin Manis bought this box, this little cabinet. Technically, the Dybbuk box is a Jewish wine cabinet. It's the small, what would it be, like 2 feet tall by 3 feet wide wine cabinet, wooden wine cabinet. He bought this from an estate sale, from a woman who was originally from Poland, who had died at age 103. So apparently the granddaughter of this woman who owned the box, the cabinet, was having this sale and had put this item up for sale. Kevin saw it and he purchased it. However, he later learned that the box was a family heirloom, so he actually tried to give it back to the person who sold it to him, the granddaughter of this 103-year-old grandma. But the woman actually asked him to keep the box. They did not want it. She mentioned that her grandmother always kept the box stashed away and would not let anyone near the box. So, Kevin, you can have it. So Kevin took the item back to his antique store. He refurbished it, and one day when he left the shop on an errand, he got a call from a salesperson frantically telling him that someone in his shop was swearing and smashing things and like screaming. So Kevin Manis returns to his shop to check, and he finds the lights in his basement were broken. His room was filled with the stench of cat urine, and this employee was never heard of again. So things are getting weird. Now, I think I should give some background. So, the Dybbuk box. What is a Dybbuk, right? If that's how you're supposed to say it. What is a Dybbuk? So, in Jewish mythology, a Dybbuk, Dybbuk, is apparently an evil spirit that some people believe to be a kind of lost soul. So if you die and for some reason you don't pass onto the next realm and you become stuck here, you become a lost soul. You become trapped in either a place or an object. In this case, a specific object, the box, the wine cabinet, and you remain here until someone helps you be released and pass onto the next realm. So. Apparently the word Dybbuk comes from ancient Hebrew, and it means to cling, so that fits. Now, what happens? Kevin becomes freaked out by this, and he decides not to finish retouching the box, refurbishing the box. Instead, he just cleans it, and he gets ready to give it to his mom as a birthday present. His mom comes to the shop. The two of them go out for lunch. This is all according to Manus's account. And at that point, Manus gives his mom the box. And Manus then leaves to make a phone call. When he returns, because an employee is signaling to him that something is wrong, he sees his mother sitting in a chair, expressionless and crying and unresponsive. She was immediately rushed to the hospital, and turns out that she had had a stroke and could not speak. And she actually couldn't speak for a period of time there. During that time that she couldn't speak, according to Manus, she spoke only using a spellboard, which she'd use to point letters to spell out words to Manus. And apparently, this is according to his account. Again, when he asked her, and by the way, I should mention that his account was, this will come into play later, but Manus's account is, we get this account from the product description that this item, this Dybbuk box, had when he put it up for sale on eBay months after he got it. He, along with the product, within the product description was a storyline, basically, why he wanted to sell it, which you would think would drive sales down or potential bidders down, but it's the opposite actually. Anyway, so according to him, his mom was using the spellboard to talk to him, and when Manus asked her how she was doing one day, she spelled out, quote unquote, "no gift." When he said that he had when he was asking his mom if she was referring to the gift that he had given her that time that they went out to lunch, she emphasized, quote unquote, on the spellboard, "hate gift." So her mom was not fond of the box. Let's just say that. So Manus then gives the box to his sister. Right. So this is the next person that gets their hands on this box, on the Dybbuk box. The sister kept it for 1 week only and gave it back. Kevin Manus, then gives this box to his brother and the brother's wife. They kept it for 3 days and then returned it to Kevin. The brother said it smelled like jasmine flowers, and his wife said it smelled of cat urine. And these are two smells that are going to come into play later too, or rather, they're patterns. These smells are repeated across accounts, so that's an interesting thing to note. Kevin then, really trying to get rid of this box, gave the box to his girlfriend, who very soon asked him to sell it for her. Apparently, Kevin was then able to sell this box that he had given to his girlfriend and previously given to his brother and his brother's wife, and previously tried to give to his sister, and before that tried to give to his mom. He was eventually able to sell this to a middle-aged couple, and 3 days later found the box sitting in the front of his shop with a note saying, quote unquote, "this has a bad darkness." So, things are getting tricky for Kevin. He cannot get rid of this box. Now, Kevin takes the box home, right? He can't. I mean, in case this wasn't clear, this is allegedly a true story. This is what I'm recounting here for you guys. A true story. I know it sounds very, I don't know. I can hear my narration style being a little fiction-like, but this is allegedly a true story, and I'm merely recounting this. So Kevin takes this box home, right? And while he had the box at home, he began to have nightmares in which he was walking with a good friend. And then, according to him, he would look into the friend's eyes in the dream, and he would see something evil looking back at him. The friend would turn into this gruesome, demonic, witch woman that would then beat him. And he would wake up with bruises and scared, basically. He'd wake up with marks on his body. When Kevin's sister, brother, and his brother's wife came to stay the night one time, all of them had the same dream, according to Kevin's account. It turns out Kevin's girlfriend had the same dream when she had the box. So this dream of walking with a friend, and then the friend being this evil hag demon that beats you up. Apparently, the sister, the brother, and the brother's wife, they stayed the night at Kevin's house once. They all had the same dream. So, there's that. Kevin also began to see shadow creatures in the home, according to him, and so did the visitors. His brother, sister, all of the people. He then tried to put this box in a storage unit outside, but the fire alarm would go off in the unit, of course. When he investigated, there was never any smoke, but there was always a smell of cat urine. So this very distinctive smell of cat urine, which at some point also permeated his house. So now his house also smelled like cat piss. He took the box into his house once again, since he couldn't leave it in the storage unit because the fire alarm kept going off. And he says that he began searching the internet for information about the box. One time he fell asleep and he had a nightmare and woke up in the middle of the night to the feeling of someone, quote unquote, breathing on his neck, and to the smell of jasmine flowers. So he woke up in the middle of the night, he felt someone was breathing on him, and his room smelled like jasmine flowers. So at this point, Kevin, being desperate, decides to just put the thing up on eBay, hoping someone who's more interested in the paranormal or isn't as scared of it or just something, that someone will take this fucking box off his hands. And someone does. In June of 2003, so he bought it in 2001, September of 2001, so, he got stuck with it for a while. In June of 2003, the box was sold to a college student named Losif Nietzsche. And Nietzsche put it back on sale on eBay just 8 months after buying it. He said that him and his roommates, when he had the box, had all suffered insomnia and different kinds of illnesses, and they had this persistent feeling of dread. So he tried to sell it back on eBay. Nietzsche was able to sell the box for $300 to another student named Jason Haxton. So now this third person has the box. And Jason claims to have experienced paranormal activity as well, just like the two people who owned the box before him. He also states that the box had an anti-aging effect on him. So this is a new one, and this isn't really elaborated in the places that I researched this. None of them really elaborated upon this, but that was Jason's claim, that the box had anti-aging effects. So it'll curse you, but at least you'll look hot. So there's that. Jason claimed that he had experienced welts, hives all over his body, when he first got the box, that he even experienced coughing up blood, that he would choke. But it made him look young. He said that touching the box would put him in this frightened state, that it was awful. He recounted that he would see strange lights and shadows and figures during the time that he owned the box. Nevertheless, Jason tried to take a kind of academic approach, I guess you could say, to trying to understand this Dybbuk box. He would talk to scientist friends or people who were Wiccans. Basically, what the article says is that he tried to get people from all kinds of fields, people that he knew, to help him decipher whatever this box was and why it was doing what it was doing to him. And so he enlisted the help of scientists, Wiccans, paranormalists, I guess. And in doing so, according to him, he was apparently able to contain the force that was within this box and have him not, have the box not harm him anymore. So he was able to contain whatever was in this box forever. He said he said something interesting. This guy Justin Haxton says something interesting in his recounting of him owning the box for the time that he did. He says that he believes that the box's ultimate goal is to reveal quote unquote truth. That what the box really did was just play off of whoever it came into contact with. That the energy within the box was neutral, and this is what he believes. Then there's no way he could have thought it was a Dybbuk, because a Dybbuk would be like an evil demon. Apparently, he thought that that wasn't it, and that whatever was in the box was just this neutral force, and really it just adapted itself to whoever it came in contact with, which I suppose would explain why some people smell jasmine flowers around the box, some people smelled cat piss. Maybe that mean people smelled cat piss, who knows. So for a time, Jason kept the box secure in his house, in like a den, to keep it subdued, to keep the energy within it subdued, try to keep it from escaping. However, he did end up selling it. So he ended up selling it. Apparently, Zach Bagans from the show Ghost Adventures is a popular it's a popular ghost show. He ended up buying the box from Jason, and he now has it as part of his collection of like paranormal delights that he has in a museum. This guy has a museum in Las Vegas. So this is super interesting. According to the article that I read, Zach Bagans will not let the public directly look at the box. However, if you do want to look at the box, you can do so by signing a waiver that says that you free Zach Bagans from all liability if you do become harmed while looking at the box or right after. So clearly he believes that it's real, or at the very least he's very good at hyping his products. I'm sure that if you went to this guy's museum and found out that the only way you'd be able to look at this box would be by signing a waiver, I'm sure you too would then believe in this, which I mean, in some way like lends this guy credibility. So if Zach Bagans doesn't actually believe in the box, he is at least very good at selling the idea to the customer that it is real. So, do I believe in this? Yes, but also what's new? So, strange things happen to all these people. Of course, they could all be lying. Everyone could always be lying about everything. Come on. But I just choose to believe that these people recount something that really happened to them. There are, of course, many people, though, that don't believe that there's anything special about this box. The skeptic's view is that the owners of the box believed that it was cursed, therefore they were kind of primed to believe that something bad would happen to them, so they would therefore attribute their misfortunes to the box, to the fact that they own the box. Chris French, specifically, an anomalistic psychologist at a research unit at Goldsmiths College, said about the box, quote unquote, that the people who own the box were already primed to be looking out for bad stuff. If you believe you have been cursed, and inevitably you explain the bad stuff that happens in terms of what you perceive to be the cause. Put it like this: I would be happy to own this object. So that's what he said. Very ballsy, because I would not want to own this object. Now, something else that I found really interesting about this is that really the existence of a Dybbuk is kind of sad. So this Dybbuk is a malicious spirit. It is the soul of a dead person who couldn't pass into the next realm, who couldn't go up to heaven, basically. Do we know if this person was evil while alive? No. So let's just assume they weren't. They were just a regular person, not particularly evil. And they die, and for whatever reason, they're not able to pass. And because they're not able to pass, due to that misfortune that isn't necessarily their fault, they become stuck on Earth, eventually attached to an object, and therefore trapped within it, i.e. a wine cabinet. Why? Why can't they pass? And if there's no good reason for it, why not help this spirit be released, right? Like the whole, something that the article that I read said was that if a Dybbuk box is burned, the box will take a long time to burn. Interesting fact, I guess. the interesting part though is that the Dybbuk box, once like fully burned, will release the Dybbuk within it, and the Dybbuk cannot be returned to the box. However, the article that I read painted this as a bad thing, as if like if you release this and you burn the box fully and you have nothing to contain it with afterwards, then you're fucked because it's gonna haunt you forever or something. But it also, like the article also mentioned that again a Dybbuk is a spirit that couldn't pass and it's trapped and wants to be released. And so my question is, why is it bad to release it? I mean, I suppose the obvious answer is because, well, it's gonna haunt you. But why would it haunt you? I thought it didn't want to be in the earthly realm anymore. You see where I'm going with this? Like, I feel like there's a part missing here. Like, is this evil spirit just evil for the sake of it, or is it evil because it's resentful that it can't pass onto the next realm? Because if it's the latter, then wouldn't actively trying to release the spirit actually be doing it a favor? I just thought that was interesting. Also, just for clarification, I grossly overestimated the dimensions of the Dybbuk box. Looking at the article again, apparently the dimensions of the box were 12.5 inches by 7.5 inches by 16.25 inches. So those were the dimensions of the Jewish wine cabinet, the Dybbuk box. Now, the greater concept that I want to touch on with this case, which is really interesting to me, is trapping spirits or demons or ghosts or whatever you want to call it. Now, given demons and just regular human ghosts aren't the same thing, but trapping some kind of entity, really evil or otherwise, that you just don't want around you. That's the concept. Trapping something that isn't a physical entity. This has been going on for a long time. So in ancient Babylonia, the Jews would often use terracotta bowls. They would inscribe them with magical spells. This was like, I don't know, 4th, 5th, 6th century, so a long time ago. Well, since then, I mean, it's not like the practice has died off. It's just that it's really old. So they would use this terracotta bowls inscribed with magical spells to entrap the devils or the demons or whatever. Christians would use these bowls as well. They'd again write on them in ancient text, and apparently this would create some kind of boundary for the spirit they were trying to trap, and the spirit would stay there forever. Other cultures have similar objects, things, practices that were meant to ward away spirits, such as the God's Eyes of Central America, or the Native American dream catchers are supposed to be a form of that too. So this is clearly a permeating belief, the concept that you can trap a non-human entity, and I get it. I get it. If this is something that you don't really know how to fight, that you are having a hard time making it go away, why not just trap it and keep it in a little box or a jar in your house? At least where it is. Kind of close to you now. It's kind of scary. It's in your own home, but at least you can keep a close eye on it, which I suppose is better. But something else, the other side of that coin is spirits who themselves seemingly decide to trap themselves into objects. The famous Annabelle doll of the archives of Ed and Lorraine Warren, or Chucky from Child's Play now, but I'm sure there are other examples like that. This box is one of them. Well, actually, no, I am wrong. This box is an example of someone trying to bind a spirit to an object. But I don't know, haunted. I've heard of haunted bracelets. I've heard of haunted dolls. I've heard of haunted homes. A home, as spacious as it is still technically an object. And there's spirits that bind themselves to their homes. There's of course your traditional, someone died in their home and they had some unfinished business, so now they roam the house. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about malicious forces that will bind themselves to a house for X or Y reason. And it just makes you wonder, why are they trying to merely torment the hosts of this house? Specifically, or yeah, are they trying to torment the host of the house, or the users of the doll, or the users of the bracelet, or whatever? Or are they? I don't know. Is there some greater purpose to why this specific house? Why this specific doll? Why, And in the end, what this all makes me think of is just the concept of the afterlife, which I know is like so far removed from whatever this episode started as, but I love a good stream of consciousness. Just what that's like, whether there is one, what it feels like in terms of time perception, whether eternity actually feels like eternity or eternity feels like 40 years. And the reason this makes me think of that is, I think, what do those malicious spirits who inhabit objects and whatnot like feel? Or rather, what do they do? Do they feel anything even? What do they do all day? What do they do a year? Is the sole purpose of a malicious spirit to spread malice and evil and mischief? Also, how does a spirit become malicious? Or forget that, like, why do some spirits get to go to heaven if that is the case, and why do others not? I mean, is it really as simple as the heaven and hell analogy? And if so, which I guess this drives a much larger philosophical question, again, super unrelated to the Dybbuk box. If so, if it is as simple as the heaven and hell analogy, like, this has always been super duper interesting to me. Like, what is the line? Is killing someone like evil enough for you to go to hell instead of heaven? Well, assuming that you're not a Catholic, right? Because Catholics have like the idea of purgatory, where even if you did some evil things, I guess depending on how evil they were, some of them can be absolved by going to purgatory, and then eventually you get to heaven. So it's like you can pay a price once you die and still get to heaven. But if you're not, and there is no, middle ground, there is no like place where you can pay for your sins. This is now getting into like very exclusively Christian canon stuff, but still, I really like the question that is driven by this topic, which is, again, where is the line? Is murdering someone evil enough for you to go to hell? I guess most people would agree, yes. But what about stealing? Well, what did you steal? But really, should that even matter? Like, should stealing, period, be bad enough? Well, okay, you can say yes, but then what if you're talking about little 5-year-old Timmy who stole like gum from the store, Or is like, I don't know, cheating on your spouse bad enough? Is you kicking a dog bad enough? What about jaywalking? No, but seriously, I don't know. I mean, it's really the conclusion. It's a very open-ended kind of stream of consciousness podcast, and that's really it. And that's kind of what I wanted to leave you guys with. I know that this was a shorter one, but I just really wanted to share the Dybbuk box story because I found it so interesting, and in a sense, I wanted to see where that story took me, and where it took me was here to asking these questions and this stream of consciousness, and I hope that you liked it. If you have any suggestions for future episode ideas that Shannon and I could tackle, please do leave us a comment. I mean, technically, hi, Scary Talk is on YouTube, but tweet at us at Talk Scary. Again, at Talk Scary. Tweet us your suggestions. We read every single one of them because we get like 5, so we have time. But speaking of, we are, again, Scary Talk is on Twitter. We are on YouTube as Scary Talk Podcast, and we are on all other podcast listening platforms as well. So whether you use Spotify, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, we are everywhere. Just look us up as Scary Talk Podcast, and again, we are on Twitter as Talk Scary. We do not have an Instagram yet, but honestly, what will we even put on it? Pictures of me? I mean, that is scary, but seriously, we are working on our website. Because we would like to have a place where we can. There's a number of places already that host our episodes, but we would like to have Shannon and I a place that is really Talk Scary brand, where you can go to that one place to get all the episodes and all of the audios, all of the updates, and anything else that we might want to upload. And that's why we're working on a website, and we'll keep all of you 4 people listening very much updated on the progress with that. With that, I will leave you guys tonight. Don't eat any large meals before bed or you will have nightmares. Watch out for any Dybbuk boxes. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This is Andre signing out. Until next time, my spookies.